Hello and welcome back. With the front-end validation, no matter how secure you make it, it still won't be secured enough and must be completed at the back end too. The front end or client side can easily be manipulated because the code is available for the user or anyone else to see. Let me show you what I mean by this. So in the previous lesson, submitting this didn't go through because these two fields are required. So now what I'll do is I'll just right click and click on inspect. And then this opens up the console tool. So I'll locate my body and then the form. And inside of this, you can see all of the code that we have written inside of it. So if I want to submit or send only 2-letter word instead of the validation, which forces me to type at least 3, I can change the values. I can even type 2 or 1, or I can even delete the whole thing entirely. And then you have the required validation to, I can get rid of that, all the 2. And now when I close this and try to submit, you can see our form goes through because you can see the parameters, they are empty. So with the example I just did, you can see how easily it can be manipulated. The user can also type JavaScript codes, or better yet, they can just turn off JavaScript and every validation turns useless. But with the backend, the user can't see it. So it's so much harder for them to find ways around it. Let's look at an example. So using the same form, let's add in some values. So I'll make the method a post method because you'll be sending sensitive data like the password. So type post and make sure the name is set. Give it a suitable name. I used username, and the input type of password, its name is just pass. Alright, so since it's a post method, all the submitted data will be available in the post super global array. The name attribute will be the key and the user's input will be that key's value. So what I want to do is, after submitting or logging in using this form, I want to show the result of what the user has entered below under this form. So let's declare empty variables to hold that. So my PHP tags, let's put this below, so here, and then a username and password. This will be empty, and likewise empty too. Good. Now before outputting it below, we need a way to find out if the user has submitted the form. There is a super global variable called server which will help us in doing this. We will put that in an if statement. So let's declare that. I'll put it above PHP tags and then the if condition. So I'll say if, and then inside of my bracket I'll type the server super global, and what we need is the request method. And the condition we are giving it is if it's equal to post. What do we want to do with it? Remember, we can get everything we sent through the post in the post super global variable. So I'll set the username variable. I'll set it to the one that we'll receive from the post. So post, and what was it? The name was username. So I'll just type that username, just like that. So the name, which is the username, will now be equal to whatever that was sent by the user. Okay, so we have the input now. We will have to validate it. First, we will use the trim function, which will strip unnecessary characters like extra space, tabs, or breaks. So the same username that was received, we use the function trim, which I explained earlier. And what do we want to trim? We want to trim the username. Now that username has been trimmed. So the data being received is trimmed now. We want to use another function called strip slashes. And what this does is it removes any backslashes from user input data. So let's do that. The same username and then the strip slash function, strip slashes. And what do we want to strip slash? Your guess is as good as mine, the username. Awesome. One more validation. The next one will be HTML special chars function. This function converts special characters to HTML entities. This means that it will replace HTML characters like less than and greater than. This adds that extra layer of security to prevent your website from being hacked through forms by injecting malicious codes like JavaScript. So let's type that same username, and we have the HTML special chars function, and it will accept the username. So that will be it for this validation. We will need to do the same for the password. And since I've already done this, I'll just copy and paste to make my work easier. And now I'll change all of this to password. So Control D and password variable. But the post being received, the name we gave it was pass, so I have to change that. If you give it a different name, you need to type exactly that. So this would have been better if we made it into a function rather than repeating these two codes all over again. But this is just a demonstration, so we can get away with that. Okay, time to test out what we have just done. So let me save this, reload this. Let's try out an example. Wait, looks like I have not echoed out the variables. So what I'll do is I'll cut this and paste it at the very top. That was what I was supposed to do, and I'll echo it rather down here. So echo the username, which has already been set through this condition, and let me echo a line break in between. So BR, and finally echo the password. Awesome. So let's save this now and reload one more time. Okay, so the name, I'll do it Robert, and then the password will be Robert123. So I'll click on login now, and you can see what I just typed, Robert123. So everything is working fine. What if we never had these validations? Let me comment out one of them. Let me do the strip slashes on the username and save this. Now at the name, I'll type Robert and add a slash. I'll put that between the ERT and type 1 2 3 4 5 6 at the password. Now I'll click on login, and you can see the slash is being displayed. So I'll uncomment it, save this, and reload. If I reload this, will send the same data. And now take a look at this. You can see it has been strip slashed. It automatically got rid of the slash. And if we right click on inspect and go check the source code, the user has no idea what is even happening. There is no way you can see the PHP code. Alright, that will be it for this lesson. Catch you in the next one.